Welcome, I am the Kaiju no Kami, and tonight's review is Godzilla vs. Megalon. The 70s were an interesting time period for Japan when it came to superheroes. Ultraman had become a huge hit at the end of the 60s, and in 71, Shotaro Ishinomori kicked off his latest series with Toei called Kamen Rider. Kamen Rider was about a man named Hongo Takeshi who was kidnapped by an evil organization called Shocker, and he was turned into a cyborg. He managed to escape before being turned to the dark side, but he was still left changed with the ability to transform into a grasshopper-esque hero known as the Kamen Rider. The series was a huge success for Toei, especially when it came to a child audience. As such, Toho had shifted Godzilla's role from being a monster and into more of a superhero. This would then lead into Godzilla vs. Megalon, introducing us to an entirely new hero in Toho's library, who was so good he was never used again. So is Godzilla vs. Megalon a superhero movie or a monster movie? Let's find out. The movie begins with a nuclear test covering the area where Monster Island is located, and all of the monsters are engulfed in its wake. It then cuts to Goro Ibuki, his brother Rokuro, and their colleague Hiroshi Jinkawa. Katsuhiko Sasaki, Hiroyuki Kawase, and Yutaka Hayashi respectively portray these characters. Rokuro is playing in a lake when an earthquake erupts and begins to drain all the water. Goro and Jinkawa rescue him as they watch the lake empty. On their way home, they hear a series of reports stating that several earthquakes have occurred, and Goro believes this means civilization is about to become lost to the tides of the ocean, a la Lemuria, Mu, and Atlantis. They return to his lab and find themselves being attacked by some intruders. After a brief fight, they leave and Jinkawa chases after them in a lengthy, silly car chase. Back at the lab, Goro discovers that the thieves had left behind some strange sand and a button. Goro studies it while completing his robot superhero Jet Jaguar. Blech! That face is scary. In time, Goro discovers that both the sand and the button have come from the sea and is similar to the sand found on Easter Island. The thieves return using Rokuro as a hostage and knock the trio out. They then report to their base, which happens to be the lost Lemurian civilization known as Seatopia. Toga! 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 Toga!
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and...
The leader of the Seatopians, played by Robert Dunham, calls forth a giant monster called Megalon. Wait a minute. They are beings that reside beneath the sea, but their monster is a giant beetle. Huh? Goro and Rokuro wake up to find themselves in the container of a truck while Jinkawa is still in the lab tied up. The thieves activate Jet Jaguar so he may act as a guide for Megalon. Jinkawa wakes up and beats up the thief after he gets the man to explain Seatopia's goal. He leaves when he is suddenly being chased by a few Seatopians who are in a car and on a bike. Fortunately for Jinkawa, the drivers suck at chases. Megalon surfaces and Jet Jaguar is his escort.
Good night, everybody.
Jinkawa catches up to the truck with Goro and Rokuro in his container, and when he confronts the drivers, they steal his car as they flee in fury as Megalon has appeared before the dam. Megalon breaks through the dam and is swept up by the water pouring out of it. The truck's container slides off as Jinkawa tries to rescue Goro and Rokuro, but Megalon's hand hits it just to knock it right through the air onto some soft grass, and the brothers are saved. Oh, come on! That's like surviving in a refrigerator during a nuke test. Jinkawa wakes them up, and Rokuro suggests they use Jet Jaguar to call Godzilla for help. The military attacks Megalon, but as always, they fail. Have they ever succeeded at fighting a monster? Megalon hops? What the? Why? Wasn't he just flying a little while ago? Why does he need to hop? The military helps Goro regain control of Jet Jaguar, and he is sent to retrieve Godzilla. The Seatopians call M82 for Gigan's help because... why? How do they know the cockroaches of M82? Have they met before? I don't understand. Oh yeah, and we get to see a bunch of planes attack Megalon, but the close-ups of him hitting them are actually the previous movie's footage, as you can clearly see that is Gigan's claw. Jet Jaguar meets with Godzilla and... oh god, that smile! Ugh. Ugh. We now get some stock footage from Ebra, and then with Ghidorah's lightning beam hitting the city. This shot was in the last movie! My god, can they even get any cheaper? Why bother making this movie if you can't put any effort into it? Jet Jaguar returns, and like Ultraman, he grows big to battle Megalon. They fight a bit, and... Gigan then arrives, and the duo gang up on Jet Jaguar. An hour and 4 minutes into the movie, Godzilla finally touches Japanese soil. Godzilla is getting pumped up as he meanders to the fight. When he finally arrives to the battlefield, he gets Gigan and Megalon away from Jet Jaguar, who thanks him for the save with a handshake. The fight begins between the four monsters. In time, Gigan has had enough and flees the battle. Godzilla and Jet Jaguar double team Megalon and...
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Megalon flies back into the hole he came from, and the Seatopians bomb all of their fissures shut to keep themselves safe. Jet Jaguar and Godzilla shake hands one more time while Rokuro waves Godzilla off. Jet Jaguar shrinks down to human size and walks with the trio back home as a really obnoxious song plays to send the movie off. And that was Godzilla vs. Megalon. And without a doubt, it is one of the worst Godzilla movies ever. It might even be worse than All Monsters Attack. The plot is just downright stupid and ridiculous. The idea of people living beneath the sea is unoriginal, but it could have been interesting to watch had the Seatopians actually had any sort of characterization. There is nothing given to us to make us want to like them. They are just there and are quite worthless. In fact, this is what the Ku Klux Klan would look like if they had to buy their robes at the Goodwill. Nothing about them makes any sense, and why are they contacting M82 for help? How do they know M82? Have they met them before? It just doesn't make sense. Goro, Rokuro, and Jinkawa are as bland and boring as they can get. We have no idea why Goro wanted to build a robot or what the purpose was. Jinkawa goes by half of the movie without being named even once. All we know is that he likes to drive cars. It sounds like he is a colleague of Goro rather than a friend, but we don't learn anything about him to know for sure. Are they friends? Is Goro just his mentor? Mentor on what? Is Goro a professor for a school? What is he researching? There's nothing to talk about here. Rokuro is about as generic as a child character can get. He is simply there because Toho wanted a child for the younger audience. He does nothing to stand out from the rest of the crowd, or even to stand out from the previous child characters. The effects are pretty lazy, as half of them are once again just stock footage. You can also see the wires quite often, especially from Megalon as he is jumping around. On the other hand, there is actually one really cool shot when Megalon is battling Jet Jaguar. Megalon runs and hides, and Jet Jaguar has to use a searchlight to look for him. That is actually a really cool looking scene. It's just too bad the rest of the movie decided to stay in mediocrity. Richiro Manabe was helmed to score the movie once more, and I do not understand why. His music is even worse than it was in Hedera. At least he remembered to put music during the fights, but that Godzilla theme is still atrocious. It is the worst Godzilla theme ever. Why? 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 And now we come to the suits. First off, the Godzilla suit is downright ugly. I would have rather had the Cookie Monster look than this thing. In fact, I'm going to just say he has a big smiling face because he is an adult Minya rather than the Godzilla we had before. Yeah, that's it. It's Minya. It's just horrific. Looks bad. He has no muscles. Everything is just flabby. For what he is though, Jet Jaguar is actually a pretty good design. He clearly looks like he belongs in Ultraman rather than a Godzilla movie, but his colors are memorable and that face is nightmarish. Gigan is still awesome, but come on! This is twice in a row now that he has been cheapened out when it comes to screen time and execution. He is such an incredible looking monster. Why doesn't Toho give him his own spotlight? Why do both his movies have nothing but stock footage? Megalon bugs me. Get it? His design is okay, but it looks like they were just trying to copy Gigan. He too doesn't have any hands, but instead drill arms. The colors are striking though and do help him stand out among the crowd. I love the use of browns and yellow on him. Other than that, there's not much praise I can give him. As a whole, this movie blows chunks. The characters are boring, the villains suck, and it is an insult to Godzilla even more so than some of the previous movies. The only way I could recommend this turd is if you were doing a Godzilla-thon or doing a review of the movie. Aside from that, there is no reason to watch this. Go somewhere else. Well, that is all the time I am willing to spend on this movie. Join me next time for Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. Bye.
You wanna know how I got these scars?